I'm hiding from everyone. Yesterday, an innocent girl, Evie, and today, I'm almost a criminal on the international wanted list. And who would have thought it would happen to me? A little sweetie bun, who was always spoiled and pampered. Dad has been on the Forbes millionaire list for several years, so I live like a princess. My parents divorced when I was a toddler. Before meeting Dad, Mom had spent many years in Tanzania studying the habits of wild animals. So, when Dad told me one morning that Mom had gone to Africa to treat lions, I wasn't surprised. From time to time, I received postcards from her with beautiful landscapes, and that was enough for me. I was surrounded by many governesses, nannies, and mentors. My dad made sure I never suffered from loneliness. I'll continue my story in a minute. But in the meantime, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell and you'll be the first to know about new stories on the channel. I was growing up, and a strange feeling overcame me. There were only adults around, and I wanted to communicate with children same age like me. I was lonely in a huge, luxurious mansion, which had become a prison for me. One day after class, I went out for a walk in the garden, but nothing pleased me. I was suffocating. Oh! I almost fell to the ground. I was hit in the head by a ball? I looked around. There was a tall fence around the garden. Suddenly, I saw a guy on the fence. He was hanging on the edge of the hedge and he was waving at me. "Hi, sorry about the ball. Can you throw it over the fence?" It was like I was numb. It was the first time I'd ever seen a guy my age, and he was talking to me. "Hey, are you numb?" Suddenly, that talking head disappeared. I heard the sound of falling and angry muttering behind the fence. Running up to the fence, I exclaimed, "Are you all right? Did you hit it hard?" "So you can talk." The guy smirked back. "Can I have the ball back?" On my third try, I managed to throw the ball over the fence. "Thank you," I heard. And the sound of footsteps moving away, I replayed the story in my head into the night. Who is he? Where did he come from? In the evening, sipping tea on the terrace, I heard music. It was coming from the side of the fence, where the ball had come from in the morning. I armed myself with binoculars and saw that the windows of the neighboring mansion were lit. There were shadows and music. So we had neighbors. I wanted to jump for joy. And there's the guy. He was in his soccer uniform, kicking a ball on the playground outside the house. I waved at him, but he was so caught up in the ball that he couldn't see anything around him. And it was silly to yell. It would attract the attention of the governesses. One day, while walking near my house, I heard the bell ring at the front gate. When I looked through the peephole, I saw the delivery man.
"Miss, I'm looking for Oliver's sticks. He lives here, doesn't he?"
I shook my head in a negative way, when suddenly I heard a familiar voice call out to the delivery guy. Oh, now I know his name. Oliver! I immediately ran into the house and got on the internet. I had no access to the social networks, but even without them I found out a lot of interesting things about Oliver. Turns out he was a child genius. At the age of 12, he created an app to track high-risk criminals. The CIA bought it for unimaginable money, and now Oliver is fabulously rich. He is 16, living alone and enjoying life. I avidly read these lines. How do I meet him? I don't have a cell phone, and I can't go outside of my mansion. It's forbidden. I kept hoping the ball would fly over the fence again and I would see Oliver. But alas. One night, I woke up to a knock. I jumped up and shouted with shock. There was Oliver on my terrace. How did you get in here? We have a very strict security system and…
I turned it off.
Oliver smiled.
It was a piece of cake. You're Evie, right?
I looked at him in surprise. How did he know? Oliver told me that the delivery guy, who once got the wrong address and knocked on our gate, told me there was a girl living on the estate, but she never goes out the gate. Oliver got curious, and here he is.
You're just like the princess in the tower. Why don't you come out?
Oliver hugged me, and we chatted until almost morning. And from that time, our night visits became regular. It was a breath of fresh air for me. Oliver told me so many interesting things, and I could only surprise him with stories about my father, his dinners with business partners, which I sometimes attended to play the piano. Oliver listened to me very attentively always, and I was grateful to him. One morning, I woke up. The house was unusually quiet. One of the governesses always woke me up. This morning was different. I went downstairs and there was no one there. There was Miss Binchett, the manager, sitting in the kitchen crying. When she saw me, she wiped away her tears and whispered that my dad had been arrested. And all the accounts had been frozen. The maid has been taken away for questioning, and the same fate awaits her. It was like I was numb. My dad? Arrested? What for? He was just a successful businessman, not a criminal. Miss Binchett told me to stay in the room until she had instructions on what to do next.
Hello, Evie.
Oliver was waiting for me in the room, and on the bed was my suitcase.
I need you to pack the essentials. We have to get out of here. We've got to get out of here fast. The police will be here soon.
I don't know what to do. I'd only known Oliver a few weeks. Should I trust him? What about Dad? I'm all he's got. But how can I help him? As if reading my thoughts, Oliver held out his hand and whispered,
Evie, you'll be safe with me. But if you fall into the hands of the police and the CIA, they'll use you against your own father.
In a minute, I was in a cab with Oliver, and an hour later, I was looking at the city where I was born and grew up, from a bird's eye view. We flew away in Oliver's private jet. He asked me where I wanted to go. And the scenery from the postcards my mother sent me, Tanzania, came to mind. And here I am. The beauty of nature takes my breath away. But all my thoughts are with my dad. Mentally, it's hard. But I can't help him yet. Oliver is very supportive of me, and I am grateful to him. He convinced me that it was better to lay low and wait it out. If anything changes, I'll be sure to tell you. For now, it's just the ocean, the white sand, me, and Oliver.
Hi, I'm Mia, but I want to be Emma. And that's a wig. And it's not my clothes. It's my sister's clothes. And I'm dating her boyfriend. You're gonna say that's crazy? Well, listen. Emma and I are twins. But we've always been different. Now at 14, I have a short black hair and glasses. And Emma has long blonde hair and a cute tattoo on her shoulder that all the guys she's flirted with like. Emma is the soul of company, fun, and open-minded, while I am the opposite, all by myself, always wearing headphones and black clothes. 2 weeks ago, our parents divorced and decided to separate us. Dad and Emma went to live in another state because Dad was offered a good job there. And I stayed with my mother. But I was happy that I stayed here because I could see Tristan. Who's that, you ask? He's the coolest guy I've ever hung out with, and I fell in love with him at first sight. But Emma is dating him. Yeah, it's very confusing. We both met Tristan at the school party. He had just transferred to our school. He was in his senior year. And while I was blushing, not knowing how to hold a conversation with this handsome guy, my more adventurous sister quickly hooked up with him. And they started dating. Tristan started coming over to our house a lot, and my parents were thrilled with him. He could tell jokes, make conversations about anything, and was just a great guy. And I was going crazy about him, watching him hold Emma tenderly. I wanted to be in her shoes. I was jealous when Tristan kissed my sister goodbye on the lips. And I wanted to feel his kiss on mine. This guy had become an obsession of mine. I also started to avoid Emma. Even started to hate her for dating someone I unrequitedly love. The news of my parents' divorce came out of the blue. They decided everything for us, deciding to separate us. Emma sobbed and packed her things. She knew that she wouldn't be able to see Tristan for the next 6 months, until she graduated from high school. And then they decided to go to the same university. But that's for later. In the meantime, my rival is leaving. And I realized that this is my chance. Now I can get Tristan's attention. I bought a wig first. And armed with my sister's photo, I started doing makeup like her. I took off my ugly glasses and put on lenses, got a couple of bright sweaters and skirts from Emma's closet, and tried them on. Yeah, you couldn't tell us apart now. I also bought another phone, and it texted Tristan on it. I told him that my previous phone had been stolen, so he shouldn't call or text there anymore. And if he gets messages or calls from there, he shouldn't believe it. They just wanted to fool him into believing that it's me. To make him believe my story, I sent him my new photo as Emma, and it worked. We started texting each other all night long. He turned out to be a very romantic guy. He wrote how he missed me and how he wanted to see me. I mean, not me, but Emma. I began to lead a double life. At school, I was the quiet, inconspicuous Mia, who was devouring Tristan with her eyes in class. And in the evenings, the cheerful Emma, who texted love messages to Tristan. After 3 days of this relationship, my sister called me, in tears. She told me that Tristan had stopped texting her and had blocked her number. Emma was aiming to come and find everything out. And that's when I got crafty. I told her that Tristan had turned out to be a traitor and that he was already seeing someone else. Emma was upset, but her pride overcame her feelings. She asked me to tell Tristan that she too had a new boyfriend and that he was already a student. And she hung up. I was happy. Now I'm standing, looking at myself in the mirror and trying on a wig. I want to fulfill my dream, to be Emma and go on a date with Tristan. There are no other obstacles to it. But I still feel uncomfortable. What if he realizes I'm not Emma? And I lose his trust? But I like him madly. And it's not enough for me to just text each other at night. I've done so much to get him. And now I have to go all the way. What do you think? Would you do that to win a guy? What would you do if you were me? Please write. It's very important to me.